All right, welcome back everybody. So we did in the first video our empty room, and the second one we added in our door. In this one we're going to add in a window. A window and a door are basically the same thing. The only difference is that a window is not touching the ground the way the door is. It's going to be more up on the wall over here. So we're going to put it on this wall over here. And just like with our door, we're going to start with a vertical line. So again, I'm going to put my ruler now not on this side here, because I'm going to have no way if my window is if my line of my window is parallel to the edge of my paper, if I block the edge of my paper. So I'm going to put it over here on this side, and I'm going to look at the space that I have here and make sure they're roughly even going all the way across. If my ruler is like that, I don't want to draw it that way. So I want to keep it like this. So I'm going to make a vertical line here. The height of this thing, you know, if your paper looks roughly like mine, let's make it like 2 inches high. So I'm just going to go from my 10 down to my 8 here. You don't want to make it super low here because we're going to add some stuff down below. I might make mine a little bit taller actually. That's a little on the short side. I'm just going to add a smidge more down here. What I want you, when you do this and you're thinking about the height of it, just make sure that the bottom of that line is lower than your dot and the top of that line is higher than your dot. Other than that, it doesn't really matter, okay? Oh, but then also leave some space down here because we're going to add things down here too. So once we have our vertical line in, that's the same as this one that we did here. When we did this one of our door, we then put a ruler on the top of that in our dot and made our line going back like that. So we're going to do the same thing with our window over here. We're going to put our ruler on the top of that line and line that up with our dot going this way. And then I'm going to draw it down like so, and I'm just going to end it about there, like a little before I get to that window, or that, sorry, the edge of that wall here. And then I'm going to do the same thing now on the bottom here. So this time it's going to, again, I'm going to put my ruler on my dot, ruler on the bottom of that line that I just drew. And I'm going to, stay still. Come on, all right. And then extend back like so. All right, and then once I have this, I now am going to make a straight line, vertical line coming down like this. So I'm just going to put my ruler here on this side, lining it up so it looks like this edge is parallel to this one that I've already drawn here. And then I'm just going to go straight down like so. So with this right here, we basically just have a rectangular shape on that wall. If you were going to draw a rug, it would look like this, like if this was the floor. If you ignore my door, if you imagine this being the floor, a rug is just a flat shape on the floor, so it would look like this. A television, like a flat screen TV, would start out the exact same way as this. If you were drawing a poster on the wall, it would start out the exact same way as our window here. We're just gonna add a little more detail to make it window-like, but the general shape, that rectangular shape on a wall like this, you could use this same way of drawing to draw any number of different things. So we are going to turn this into a window here. So from this shape right here, we're going to make, I'm going to turn this over. You don't have to draw this, but we're going to make this kind of a window where you have like the cross between it like that. When you're making if you're doing it where it's head on like this, you can just make that cross, that line here, right in the middle between this side and that side, and you're good to go. But when you're doing it on this, it's harder to tell because this side of the window here is closer to you, so it appears bigger. And this side of the window is farther away from you, so it appears smaller. So we can't just put that line dead center. The way that you find the center of a shape when it's on an angle like this is you take your ruler and you make diagonals going from corner to corner of this shape. You're going to do this really lightly because we're going to erase this, okay? So don't press down with all your might. Do this lightly. So we're just going to make a really light diagonal going from corner to corner. I'm going to try to make mine dark enough that you can see it, but just know you don't have to go very dark with this at all. So line like that. Then we do the same thing, go on the other side over here. There we go. And then now the intersection point where those two lines meet, that is the center of this space here. So if I go ahead now and I make my vertical line going through and hitting like right through that X, that center part right there. we can now see that this shape over here is a little smaller than this whole shape over here, which makes sense because this part of our window is closer to you, so it should be bigger. This part should be smaller. I'm going to leave my X here for a moment because now what I want to do is I want to draw in my cross, and the way that I'm going to do that is going to use that same point and then also my best friend over here, this dot. So I'm going to put my ruler on my little buddy over here, and I'm going to put my ruler on this little point right here. Line those two parts up, and then I'm just going to make this line going through there like so. So once I get this, I've got all these lines on here. I want to erase that original X shape that I drew in here, those diagonal lines. I want to get rid of those. Go ahead and get rid of those guys. And now I have kind of the general shape on here, okay? I am going to make this thing look a little bit more three-dimensional, kind of similar to how I did with our door over here. I'm hoping this shows up because I'm realizing now that I'm looking at this that this is fairly small and we're going to end up with a lot of really thin lines on here, okay? So I'm going to kind of keep my window like this, and I'm going to go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from these 2 points over here, and I'm going to make 2 horizontal lines coming in. That's going to be easy on my top because this angle is pretty sharp, and it's going to be a little trickier on the bottom because it's going to be really close to that angle over here, but yeah, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to make a straight line going down from those 2 points, so I have just a straight up rectangle back there. Like that. And then again, I'm going to put my ruler on my dot, and on that upper corner of that rectangle that I just drew right there, and I'm going to extend that back like so. So now, just like the door frame over here, where we see that side and we see the top, sorry, where we see the side and we see the top, it's the same thing. We see the side and then we see the top over here. The only difference though now is that we're going to see a little bit of the bottom on this one too. Depending on how you drew yours, you might see a little bit more of that than I'm seeing of mine, but that's okay. As long as we're doing the right steps, where we're putting our ruler on our dot and on that inside little part of our rectangle that we did, I'm just going to see like a little sliver of that side right there, but that's totally fine. Okay. So again, once we have this, I'm going to throw in a little bit of shading in here. I might end up like covering over some of this stuff in a minute, so I'm not going to stress out about making anything too beautiful. But we're just going to add in a little bit of shading. A little bit of shading. Going all the way across here, okay? Now, our window frame part is looking a little more three-dimensional. This cross part here is still just 2 lines. So we want to make this look a little bit more three-dimensional. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a line that's going to go, we're going to go like, I don't think how to do this the best. Let's do this. Let's go, keep it this way. And I'm going to make another line just to the side of that first vertical one that I did. Like, it's going to be really super thin, okay? Super thin. So just like straight up like that. Super thin, okay? And now, that's going to be the front of that little part. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a horizontal line, just kind of connecting. Again, just kind of connecting like that. I'm not even using a ruler here because it's going to be so small. And then I'm going to go from those horizontal lines in, and they only go back until they hit that little other side right there. And then I'm just going to go again straight up and down between them. So now I have like a sense of where the front of that window is. I can even like shade it in a little bit, and then where the side of it is. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same thing over here on this one. I think I'm gonna go like just like a smidge, again, just like a smidge above over here like this, like that. So again, that's gonna be like the that's gonna be the front part of it, and then because this little line is not horizontal. Like if I'm just drawing a horizontal line from my dot, it would be more like that. This is not horizontal. It's like going up about a little bit like that. I'm going to see on mine, I'm going to make a little smidge of a line from here, horizontal line, kind of going back like that. So it's going to be on the bottom. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my ruler on my dot and my ruler right over there on that guy. And I'm now going to extend this across, but the difference, the thing I'm going to do differently here that I did before is I'm not going to draw through my cross line right here. And in fact, I'm just going to go ahead and erase that little part right there so it doesn't look like I'm drawing through my beam. So I'm going to go from here, line up dot, line up that point. So those two parts right here. Again, I apologize for these super small little lines here, but what are you going to do? So I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to end it. And that's going to be the bottom of that side. So if I shade that part in a little bit, you might be able to kind of see it there. And now I'm going to continue that. Actually, you know what? Let me see here. If I go back and I redraw those parts in there, that does make sense. So if that's there, and then now I go from here, and I'm going to continue that, but I'm not going to go all the way from, I'm not going to draw through that shape. I'm just going to draw kind of like that. So I have this front side going all the way through, and then this side of here, I have that little space right here. And then from here, not connecting these two, oh, this is going to be so cool. So not connecting these two right here. I'm going to connect this point with that point. And I'm going to go, it's going to look like this, like a slight angle like that. And then now it's like this part of the door frame, like it intersects, but it doesn't like, I'm not just having them overlap, they kind of like meet up like that. Oh, so nice, so nice. So now we have a cool like little open window going on over here. If you want to add in curtains, curtains are not bad here. We can easily throw in some curtains on here. I can just put my ruler on my dot, and I can draw in a curtain rod just above my curtains here. So I'm just going to kind of go, maybe if I do it this way, it's a little easier to see. So I'm just going to throw in a curtain rod right up here. And I'm just going to make a line like so. You can add on little curvy things at the end if you want to make it a fancy curtain rod. And then when you make your curtains, you probably don't want to use a ruler for curtains. I'm going to end up covering over a lot of my window that I just drew. So if I'm going to make curtains here, you can do this if you want. I'm just going to kind of make them, I'm not going to use a ruler because curtains are not straight lines, but I'm just going to kind of go, I'm going to make one side go about, from here, about to the middle point over here. And then when you draw curtains, this side over here is going to be fairly straight down. Again, you don't want to use a ruler because you want it to look like flowing fabric, but it's going to go fairly straight down. And then from here, it's going to kind of curve in like that. And then there's like that little tie part over here, and then it comes straight down like that, okay? So now, once you have something like this, we can then just kind of like, you know, I can make them nice and dark over here. I'm covering over a lot of what I drew, but that's all right. You could even like have it be like not super dark and have it be like sheer curtains where you can kind of see through them, which is kind of like what mine is, where I can see the window frame through there. The little tie part on here, all we're gonna do for that is we're just gonna make like a little darker overlappy part like that. Dark overlappy part, and again keep it dark in there, and then again we're just going to kind of curve this down over here, and then on the bottom to make them nice and seem like fabric have them do something like this where it's kind of like up like this, and then it kind of comes down like that, like not like totally straight across like that. And then we'll go again nice and dark here, nice and dark, and this part right here you can kind of have it be like a little darker, like there's like a little fold, okay? And then, so that's that. And then when you do the other side, it's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that it's going to be a smaller curtain, so you're going to need to pay attention to what you've drawn over here on this side. So you're going to want to do this side first, okay? So what you're going to do is, again, I said we're not really using a ruler here, but we want to use a ruler in a sense to figure out how long these curtains are going to be, because you can't make the bottom of the curtain on this side the same length. It's not going to be that wide. Again, it's going to be going in perspective back towards our dot. So I'm going to put my ruler on my dot, and I'm just going to kind of ballpark a spot in my curtain over here. And I'm just going to make a little notch over here because I know that the bottom of my curtain is going to be about here. I also know that this side of my curtain on over here is going to be like around in here. It's not going like all the way to the middle, so I'm going to keep it around here. And I know it's going to end at where my little fancy little curtain rod knob thing is over here. So again, I'm just going to do kind of the same thing. I'm going to start from here, and I'm going to curve it in like so. I know I'm going to have my little tie thing right around here. And this part's just going to come straight down. And this part over here is going to be over here. And it's going to kind of come up like this. So now this one over here is definitely smaller than this one over here, which is what we want. That's perfect. But it's also, it's smaller in the right way. Like this, it kind of makes sense that it's going back to this shape over here. So again, we'll just kind of come over here and we can darken things in a little bit. I will show you better examples of curtains, or like other different kinds of examples. There are many different ways to make curtains. They're like those little pull down shades. So we can talk about other different ways to kind of make things down the road that you might find easier than this, or more challenging or something like that, okay? But that's just kind of like a general basic curtain. All right, so the next video, we are going to add in a bed underneath here. So I'm going to pause this, and I will see you next time. Thanks.